Good day, class. Today we are going to look at revised geography, migration. What is migration? Migration is the movement of people from one place to another on a permanent or semi-permanent basis. When we are talking about migration, we are talking about movement, for example, from Botswana to Zambia, someone moving from Botswana to South Africa. That is migration, or within the country. The movement can be for social, economic, political, and environmental reasons. There are so many reasons why people move from one place to another. It might be because they are looking for a job, or they feel secure in the other place than in the other. Then this migration can be internal or for external reasons. Internal one is when people are moving within the country. It might be moving from Sikwane to Gaborone, or moving from Gaborone to Francistown. That is internal, within the country. Then with this internal, we have urban to urban migration, we have urban to rural migration, or rural to urban migration, internal. With external, it is the movement between countries. It might be Botswana to Zimbabwe or any two countries. We call it external or international migration. With this migration, we have emigrants and immigrants. You should know how to differentiate these two. An immigrant is someone who moves away from the country. Let's take, for example, a Botswana who moves from Botswana to stay in UK or America. That one is an immigrant, has moved out of the country. These are people who leave the country. Immigrants are people who arrive in the country. They are incoming people. You should take note of this immigrant. They are incoming people. They come from other places to the country. They are called immigrants. In order for us to find the net migration, we separate the number of immigrants minus the emigrants. People coming in minus those who are going out. That is net migration. With this net migration, it might be positive or negative. Positive, which means there are more people coming in than those who are going out. What are the reasons why people move? People move because of the push and or the pull factors. People can move because of something that is pushing them away from a country, something that is repelling them from a place. These are the factors that cause people to move. They are called push factors. We also have pull factors. They attract people to an area. The things that are good, which can attract people to an area. We have got the source area for the immigrants. Where do people come from? They might be coming from Botswana. They might be coming from whichever country it can be. When people are moving away from a country, that will lead to a population decrease. Then wherever they are going to, it will increase the population of wherever they are going to, the destination. Then net migration for an area is calculated by, like what you said, immigrants, number of immigrants minus the number of immigrants. A positive figure, it means that there are more people coming in than going out. Then a negative, there are more people moving away than moving in. Then population growth of an area, is natural change, which is birth rate minus death rate. Do not forget, natural change is birth rate minus death rate, plus the number of people who are moving out in minus those who are moving out. Then we get the population growth. Then we move on to the next one. There are so many examples of the push factors and pull factors. Migration, push factors, the things that are repelling people from an area. You might meet this question which says, what is push or what is pull factor? Then the push factors are high unemployment, natural disaster, the things that make people move away from an area. Lack of access to work, lack of health care, poverty, war, racial intolerance or religious intolerance, lack of safety, housing shortage, land shortage, crop failure or famine. Then the things that pull people into a place, unemployment, higher income, all those, they are the pull factors. There is less crime, it will attract people to move to an area. Do not take note, do not forget these push and the pull factors. They are some of the questions that you might meet in the exam, and you should not miss them. You should totalize in this migration. Then we classify migration in different ways. There is voluntary migration, whereby people voluntarily move from a place to another. They are doing it willingly. Then we have involuntary, they are forced by circumstances. It might be because people are chasing them away, maybe because of witchcraft. People are chasing them away because of their political orientation. That is involuntary. They move because they fear for their lives. We also have temporary migration, which can be seasonal. People going to the farm to plow or going there to just collect the harvest and come back to wherever they are staying. That is temporary migration. It might be seasonal. Then we have permanent, is when people move, they might not, most of the times they don't even return back home. That is permanent migration. We have rural to urban migration, which is very common. People moving from rural areas to urban areas to seek for better bright lights, to seek for employment, educational purposes. There are so many reasons why people move from rural areas to urban areas. Migration is a movement of, from the countryside to the cities and towns. They might ask you in your exam, that is what is meant by rural to urban migration. The rural areas in developing countries, they become depopulated because many people, they move from rural areas to urban areas, especially the able-bodied people who are still strong. They move away in search of employment so that they can be sending back money to the people in the villages. So those are the reasons why people move from rural areas to urban areas. Then we've got urban to rural migration, people moving urban to rural migration, to urban areas to rural. Urban to rural migration is where people migrate from towns, cities to live in rural areas. They do that usually at retirement. They need a quiet time, so they move to the villages from towns. Even the cost of living is high in urban areas, so they would rather prepare to save whatever they have and stay a quiet life in the rural areas and enjoy the peace in rural areas. Then there are so many effects of this migration that we've been talking about. There are so many problems and the consequences. Then the problems that people might face, there are problems that people might face from where they come from, even where they are going. There is lack of qualification by these migrants that they face. If someone is not qualified, they may end up getting even low jobs or not getting a job at all wherever they are moving to. They can not speak the local language. Someone has moved into an area, you can't even speak English, they can't even speak the local language. It becomes a problem even when they are looking for the jobs. They may be exploited by business and factory owners. We also have another problem, higher living costs in the country they move to. They might be unable to buy homes and end up living in poor, overcrowded conditions, even in squatter camps. Discrimination, they might be discriminated there. Some people may think that their jobs are being lost to the immigrants. That might make people maybe to fight them, to try to chase them from their area, to say, go back to wherever you come from. The xenophobia, we had so many cases in South Africa because they were being discriminated against. Then we have the consequences, lack of safety, high risk of crime, or being hurt or attacked. We have a case study. It's a requirement that when you are doing each and every topic, you should have a case study. You should have a case study for each and every topic so that you'll be able to answer the question, especially in paper 1. What is the impact of migration on population of UK? There's been large-scale immigration to the UK since 1990, especially of refugees and economic migrants from developing countries and from Eastern Europe. The number of births to women born outside UK, it has risen since 1995. More than a quarter of babies born in the UK had mothers who were born in other countries. The rapid growth has put health services, housing provision, and other services under great strain in areas where a lot of immigrants have settled in UK. Then we also have so many case studies that we can talk of, from people moving from Zimbabwe to South Africa, people moving from Botswana to South Africa, like what used to happen in the past because of the mining sector in South Africa, which was attracting a lot of people in Southern Africa. Then because of the dissolving of the Zimbabwean currency, because of the political instability in Zimbabwe, many people, they move from Zimbabwe to South Africa. You can also talk about all those case studies. There's an activity here that I want us to do. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to complete this activity, then we look at the answers. Take 3 minutes and complete. A person who moves out of a country to live in another, what do we call? A person who moves into a country in order to live there, what do we call? Factors that cause people to move or migrate away from an area. What are the factors that attract people to an area? What are the reasons for people choosing to migrate within a country? What are the positive and negative impacts of migration to areas, on the areas or country from which people have migrated? We're giving you 3 minutes to complete. Thank you. I hope you are done. Let's look at the first one. What do we call a person who moves out of a country to live in another? someone moving from a country to live in another country, that one is an immigrant. A person who moves into a country in order to live there is an immigrant. Into a country is an immigrant. Someone who moves out is an immigrant. This one, the first one, it has got an E. The second one, it has got an I. What are the factors that cause people to move away from a country? The push factors. Those that attract people, they are the pull factors. What are the reasons for people choosing to migrate within a country? Job opportunities, educational reasons, better health care, bright lights. What are the positive and negative impacts of migration on the area or country from which people have migrated? What are the problems that people are likely to face because of the movement that has happened from a certain place? The negative, if people move away from a place, those who are left behind will be very lonely. They have so many social problems, and those who, the positive, they will receive remittance from those who have left. So you can write, these are very simple questions. Thank you very much.